These two were just like kissing and like it's nothing, and it's horrifying.
Day 3 after somebody.
Whoa! Don't put that on the camera.
It was worth it.
In June of 2020, Daniel's youngest daughter, Sierra, who was just 15 years old at the time, met this guy named Aaron Guerrero, who was 18 years old at the time, and they began to date. Now, their dating moved very, very, very fast. Sierra and Aaron were sneaking around and seeing each other behind their parents' backs, and the things that they were talking about were not good. In December of 2020, little Sierra turned 16 years old, and Daniel, her father, was so over the moon happy. But what Daniel didn't know is 5 days later, everything would change. Early in the morning on April 8th of 2021, Aaron Guerrero ran away from home. When he ran away from home, he secretly met up with Sierra. Later that day, Daniel's ex-wife became concerned when she looked at their joint bank account and realized that Daniel had spent $1,300 out of it in one day in multiple different stores buying random things. Can you imagine sharing a bank account with your ex? Probably not. But they got along so well that they shared a bank account and talked all the time. So she began to call Daniel, and she could not get a hold of him. And this made her concerned because this was not like him. Daniel's mother, Christine, realized that she couldn't get a hold of him either. She was texting him. They talked every day. She was thinking, what in the world is going on? So Daniel's mom called Sierra and told Sierra, listen, I'm about to call the police and they are going to come there and check on him. And this is when Sierra hung up the phone on her grandma. Not long after that, surveillance cameras caught Daniel's Nissan Altima being driven out of the neighborhood. Daniel's mom called 911 to request a welfare check on Daniel. Peggy, a family friend and Daniel's landlord, and her friend said that Daniel's car wasn't there when they arrived and that the front door was open. When they went inside the house, they were frantic. They're looking around, they're smelling the smell, and they see a sleeping bag and they see a burnt human body inside. When the police arrived, they realized something disturbing had happened. And while searching the house, they found a chainsaw on the floor in the living room and a handsaw in the kitchen covered in blood. There was a circular saw and 2 knives in the sink, and they also found receipts from Home Depot and an ATM. And of course, Sierra and Aaron were missing at this time. The family had found this very suspicious. Police used the receipts that were found in the home to go get surveillance footage from Home Depot. This is when they saw Sierra and Aaron purchasing saws, gloves, lighter fluid. Surveillance footage from Winco caught Sierra buying 2 gallons of bleach, and they used Daniel's credit card to make these purchases. And these are the purchases that the ex-wife saw on her credit card, these random purchases. Well, it wasn't him, it was his daughter and her boyfriend buying stuff to clean up their crime. The cops immediately issued warrants out for the two's arrest. Now, on April 13th of 2021, just 5 days after the incident happened, cops found surveillance footage of Sierra and Aaron 400 miles away in Salt Lake City, Utah. Later that day, Sierra and Aaron were stopped on a train and asked to show proof that they had paid for their tickets. This led to the police running their names for a background check and discovering that they were wanted out of Nevada. Now, it is said that when they had got on this train without tickets, that they were actually getting on and off the train. And then that's when these cops were like, wait a minute, let me see your tickets. Later, police found Daniel's Nissan Altima that had been ditched by Sierra and Aaron with a blanket covered in blood in the trunk. They were both charged with 9 felony accounts, which included murder, conspiracy, arson, robbery, and fraudulent use of credit cards. Both were able to obtain lawyers, and Aaron's lawyers once represented O.J. Simpson in the 2007 trial. The district attorney said they were considering the death penalty for Aaron. However, the death penalty could not be considered for Sierra because she was a minor. And even though she was charged as an adult, the worst penalty she could receive would be 20 to life with the possibility of parole. On June 25th, Sierra and Aaron had an arraignment hearing they attended together where they both pled not guilty. Now, in May of 2022, they both entered pleas of guilty, and it is said that because of that, Aaron will not get the death penalty, and they will both get, I believe, 22 to 23 years is the max, and it's just so unbelievable to me. Now, when Daniel's obituary came out, you know he had 3 kids. Only his other 2 kids were named in it, so it's very obvious that the family is unbelievably hurt. Daniel was very open and would always say to his social media or to his friends or to his followers that his life wasn't perfect and he wasn't perfect. But he made sure to let everyone know that he was working on himself every day and wanted to be a better man and a better father. His family said that he was the rock within the Hall-Seth family, and his children always came first. And that was something that everybody knew about Daniel. I can't imagine what the other 2 kids, who are probably adults now, feel. And over what? Over a couple teenagers that thought they were in love. As a parent, you guys know, a lot of y'all are parents. Like, we just want to protect our children. We want to love them. Daniel and Aaron's parents didn't say that they could never see each other again. They just said that they needed time apart. And why they chose her father, maybe she saw him as weak, and Aaron definitely saw Daniel as weak, as a lot of us would see him as a loving, doting father who had made some mistakes in his past, but was obviously working very hard to be a better man and definitely a good father. And I don't even know if Sierra specifically, does she even understand yet what she has done? If not, she will. She will one day. And it's just so devastating. I mean, she wasn't even with this dude for a year. It's heartbreaking. You know, I just can't imagine what Daniel saw in his last minutes. You know, he's looking at his daughter, and then they tried to for him and they couldn't do it. And so they just his body and took his stuff and left. And they were gone for 5 days. 5 days. And now they're going to prison. So if there's any young ones, any of my teenagers, young ones or older ones, but especially my younger audience watching this, you gotta be careful who you hang out with. Gotta be careful who you think you're in love with. I've been down that road myself. These people that are wanting you to make bad choices or bad decisions, and you know what's right from wrong. You don't need that type of love.